Good morning, everyone. This is just a quick video talking about a very important upcoming astrological event, and that is Mercury retrograde happening on December 12th. I don't think there's anybody out there that hasn't heard of Mercury retrograde, whether you practice astrology or not. There's a lot of information and a lot of hype around it, and I do think that that is not necessarily bad as long as you have the right information. Mercury is a messenger, okay? So if we plan beforehand, which is what I'm trying to do with this video, it will allow you to get really prepared for this time so that when those messages come up for you, you've kind of already been proactive and addressed some of the things that would come up. The first thing that we like to prepare for and go over are finances. So this would be a great time to make sure, you know, if you're on automatic payments, that your checking account information is up to date. If you've moved recently, that like your change of address and everything's changed, so you're getting all your bills, you're forwarding your mail. It's also a really great time to take a look at spending habits. This is not really the time to, and so the thing about this Mercury retrograde is that we're in holiday season, right? But we want to be really careful of overspending and bad financial habits. It's difficult to not overspend during the holidays, I understand. Especially, a lot of people use that as sort of a quick comfort, right? A quick distraction. But that's not necessarily a good thing. That usually gets us into debt that we cannot pay off. And so these are things that we really need to be taking a look at. If you feel that you have a budgeting concern or spending issue, you may want to put yourself on a certain amount of cash for the week so you cannot use your credit cards and your debit cards freely to rack up those extra expenses. There are some other things you can do. You can just simply cut back. You can stop going out to eat as much. Try cooking at home more. Get online, find some quick, easy, nutritious, inexpensive recipes that you can do to help you sort of, cut down on your costs. But taking a look at your finances is going to be very, very important going into Mercury retrograde, especially if you don't like taking a look at your finances. I'm a financial person. I love looking at that stuff. It doesn't scare me because I know the more I know about it, the more control I have over it. So if you're the opposite of that and you have concerns about your finances and your financial habits, now is the time to start sort of reining that in and taking a look at how you actually operate within the financial realm, because Mercury will bring out things that it might bring out surprises that you don't want to be surprised with. And it's a lot easier when we take the first step and look at things ourselves versus it being thrown in our face. That being said, it's also not the time for big purchases. I do not recommend setting up some huge new investment that you're not really well versed on. It's not time to buy a car or purchase a home. Now, that being said, if you are already in the midst of those things and you're already planning on it, please go ahead with your plans. I am in no way, shape, or form recommending that your entire life should stop because of Mercury retrograde. So follow through on whatever plans that you already had in motion. But this is not the time to do anything rash with our finances. Relationships is another big one. This is going to be a time that you are going to want to release past hurts and fears so that you are no longer carrying them into your new or current relationship. This is going to be a time to talk about things that are really bothering you. If there is, a habit that they have that really just, it just doesn't make you feel good when they do it. It's time to talk about those things. It's time to talk about your fears and your reservations and how things make you feel, and or if you've been struggling with anxieties over a certain area of the relationship. Again, Mercury is the messenger, which means communication. So that's not just in technology, which is what we typically focus on for Mercury retrogrades. It's not just in technology, it's not just in our finances, this is in our relationships. So now these three things that I've just talked about, especially the finances and the relationships, are areas people hate to talk about. But see, that is the wonderful thing about Mercury retrograde, and that is how you should look at it, is that you have this opportunity to be proactive about these things, and you have an opportunity to really get ahead of the game here. Mercury is allowing you an opportunity to get some of these things straightened out before 2024. Okay, why not take advantage of the opportunity? This is an amazing launching pad, an amazing avenue to where you can jump on this stuff ahead of time and say, okay, I'm not going into 2004 with my head in the sand about my finances or about my relationship. So don't look at this as a setback. Look at Mercury retrograde as an astrological tool, because that's really what these astrological events are about. This is about using a natural tool that we have around us at all times and mapping our life out by it and making the course adjustments as needed. And speaking of relationships, we can also talk about friendships here. This will be a duality. This will be this period of Mercury retrograde will be will have a duality in it, as in, if there is a friend where you feel like you are always the one reaching out, if you are always the one making the plans, if you are always the one paying for the dinners, if you are always the one texting first, if you are always the one calling first, it might be time to take a break from that friend and allow this 3-week period to give you some time to really think about how you feel about that, and if that's worth going into 2024 with that connection. Now the duality part is that if there's somebody that you haven't heard from in a long time that you really miss, it's time to reach out to them. Or you'll have people reach out to you that you've been missing, and you want to follow through with those plans. You want to make plans with those people and meet up with them and reestablish that relationship. Now, here we're talking about platonic relationships, not romantic. I do not recommend that if an ex contacts you, that you necessarily jump all over that, like with a platonic relationship. These are two very different energies during Mercury retrograde, and just as with letting go of the first friend we were talking about, where you're always the one extending all of the energy, if an ex reaches back out, I would like you to take your time during this 3 weeks before you respond, which is something that people are not very good at, is taking their time to respond. Okay? Just because you get a text, don't mean you have to text them right back right then with an answer. Take your time, okay? You don't have to jump when somebody says jump. It's also okay to collect your thoughts and be clear and concise, and take the time to do that and then send that text or make that phone call. Rash texts are a huge problem I see in my line of work. There is a ton of situations and root work services that people could have avoided purchasing or performing had they have just not sent a text. It's something you really need to think about, y'all. Just don't send it. You can type it out and it can be saved in your drafts. You can save it there for 1 day. You can save it there for 3 weeks. Just type it out. Get your feelings out. Don't send it. Typically, you should go back and delete it. 2 more quick points. Don't sign any legal documents. Try not to be in any legal involvement during this time. Just anything that you have to sign that's a big deal, try to hold off on it. The other thing is, if you are traveling, check your travel plans. I'm not telling you don't travel. Mercury is the traveler. It is the messenger. It is technology. It wants you to get from point A to point B and have the time of your life and start that new job. Just double check all of your information. Double check your flights, double check your arrival times, departures, the hotel reservations, the car reservations, any of that type of stuff. Mercury is all about letting us know it's time to double check your ish, okay? Don't go into 2024 making these mistakes that can be so simple to cover. This is the time to do it. Join me in my service. Link is in bio. Let me help you through this Mercury retrograde by getting